Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Cockpit Show here on Mikey's Flightdeck. This time with a little bit shorter episode as usual. Two users have sent me pictures of their builds and I wanted to bring them out now because there are some very interesting details in these builds here. And if you have built something interesting too that we can present here to the audience, then just send your pictures and a little bit description of the build and yourself to the email address cockpitshow@mikey'sflightdeck.de and you can be part of the upcoming Cockpit Show. But now we start with the first cockpit of Arne. Arne has written something about himself here. My name is Arne. I'm 37 years old and from Baden-Württemberg, from Germany. First of all, thank you for your films, cockpit shows and live streams. Just outstanding and inductive. Keep on. Thanks, Arne. I'm building a 737 NG Cockpit 2, but on base of the PMDG with FSX and MobiFlight. Yeah, the PMDG is also a good base for your home cockpit because they have a good SDK. You can communicate with it, with MobiFlight or any other programming skill. You have to read a little bit here how to connect this. I have showed this with an IRCP server. I haven't showed this with a PMDG. I have showed this with a ProSim, but I have tested this too with an IRCP server and PMDG, so I can say this can work too. And I have seen a cockpit project that is based on the PMDG and running on one single computer, including the outside view. So this is possible. So what has Arne sent here and written to the first picture? My first building project was the build of the throttle quadrant, which is not motorized. And after this I was infected and I have seen your channel, and then I started first of all the MIP and the FMC on a tablet. The FMC is a complete DIY build. Okay, so let's have a look. He started with the throttle quadrant, he said. Let's have a look here. Yeah. Most of the times you can see that a throttle quadrant is a homemade one when these handles here are straight. But this doesn't give you anything bad to this throttle quadrant. This is looking really good. Is this metal? I think this is metal. It's these sharp corners here and all of these plates here on top. Could be metal coated, aluminum or something like this. Oh, and also the labeling on these aluminum parts here comes out really great. Yeah, here you can see the fuel cutoff switches. Cool. Yeah, and also here these handles or these sticks here. I think there you can let some time during this build here when you have to bend all these materials to the right angles here, if they are not 3D printed or made with another technique here. Yeah, I would be fully satisfied with such a version of a throttle quadrant. Really cool, looking good. So let's come now to the MIP here. So this is a solid piece of woodworking. There's everything there that you would need to start your cockpit project in your room with an MIP only. There are some projects that have only an MIP and the overhead maybe on a monitor over their heads. But this here is really a cool starting point. Even if you don't want to use big outside view, just put 1 or 3 monitors in front of you and then you're ready to go. But Anna, I think if you would bring these plans online, people would like to get them. Maybe even buy these plans if they are good made, really good and solid. Yeah, it looks like he has already installed the monitors here. Here. And built in the pedals here. Yeah. There is nothing that you would miss on this MIP here. So the next picture, wow, and there we see a lot more. So he is definitely building the full size cockpit here. The shell is from MDF and the window frames are built with the same technique like yours. Yep, there you can see it here. The frames are covered with foam here. Here you can see it better. A wooden frame, and then it is covered with a layer of foam. And on top of the foam, you can apply a glass close, and on top of this, any filler material that you would like to use. So yeah, and here again, the woodworking skills are really solid. Even here, I think these are dummies here. The adjustment screws for the pedals. In the real Boeing, I think you can move the panels, not the panels, the pedals forward and backward. Yeah, cool. And such details, I love such details here. I have also invested many hours in these details here in the ceiling, and these are really cool made here from MDF and other thinner materials here. And the eyebrow windows, a very complicated piece here because of these angles here, and I think they are set on top, on the inside of the ceiling here. There are no openings in the ceiling here, and even here, look at this. I think that is a dummy too. The speaker here, made from wood, I think. Sure. The handles here are there. Yeah, and I think making these window frames out of foam can be a very good solution, because you can doing a kind of modeling these things here. Yeah, the side walls are finished, absolutely clean. Well done. So the next one, I have lacquered the parts with a brush and a roller. Here. Absolutely solid working. Why you have painted the wooden structure too when you cover it with foam? I don't know, but by the way, this basement is really looking like my room where I have standing the cockpit. Maybe the room height is 5 centimeters more or something like this, but the windows are at the same place and the heater and so on. It's like I'm looking into my basement. Yeah, but that looked absolutely the same when I have built my sidewall here on top of these structures here and painted this thing. Yeah, and the same problem like I had here. The thin material of the ceiling doesn't give enough material for the screws to hold in, so any parts you screw in from the inside won't hold very good. And so we set these blocks here so the screw can screw inside some material here into these wooden blocks. Yeah, it looks the same in my cockpit here. A different technique to connect the wooden bars here with 2 screws. I have used a rod and nuts to connect them. Yeah. And you can see this here too. He can take his ceiling and put it beside. So the whole cockpit is movable and splittable into smaller parts. And this is very important because there can be the danger that your cockpit can't stay at the place where you build it and you have to move with the cockpit. And if you don't want to destroy it, then you should invest a little bit of time and especially planning time to keep your cockpit modular. Yeah, there is the whole cockpit assembled and painted, and a pedestal is also here. Absolutely solid and cool looking. So now we come to panel making. What have he written here? For the panels, I have built a CNC router too. The panels are painted with an airbrush and engraved. So I have set this in my top tools for panel making. You can use an airbrush pistol. I think you are meaning these small airbrush pistols. The paint is a little bit, well, not only a little bit, it's much more expensive, but for small parts it's absolutely enough, and you don't need a big compressor for this. Well, and you can build it even on a small room and don't need a big painting area for all these overspray when you are painting with a big painting pistol. So, but what have we here? The clock. And he has made everything by himself. It's good, really, really good looking. Yeah. The only thing missing here is this needle here. You can see it in the background on the monitor. I think there is a needle. I don't know how this is installed. In the middle there is no place. There are these 7-segment displays. Maybe the 7-segment displays can be moved a little bit more up, then there would be a room in the middle. Or it can run on the outside of a circle. Well, I have to think about this when I'm building this. Yeah, but absolutely clean engraving, really good looking, and especially the engraving is readable without backlighting. It's also important that you use a good white background material. Yeah, here you can see that. Absolutely amazing. Clean engraving, and it is visible without any backlighting. Yeah. Sometimes I think I could have used a little bit more whiter acrylic. I think I will use it in a future version of my panels. Maybe I would take all this time I'm investing here as a big test. And then when I have made all the panel plans finished, then I will make one new version with a whiter acrylic. But this is in a far, far, far future. Okay, this is looking really good. Clean colors and a good painting, and the engraving is absolutely acceptable. Yeah. There, here you can see this again. Readable without any backlighting, and This is really good. And here you can see what can happen when the background material where you engrave into is not made for being readable without backlighting. I don't know what happened here. I think this can be engraved into clear acrylic. Then this could look like this here. I have made this on my six-pack annunciator. I have taken clear acrylic, painted it black, and then engraved the letters in. They are not readable when the backlighting is off, which isn't bad because it isn't the six-pack annunciator should only be readable when there is a light on. But even when there is light on, the visibility is not as good as the normal engraving, because through a clear acrylic the light spreads a little bit more, and then it doesn't come out very sharp with very sharp letters. So I think this could be here that it is clear acrylic used. So I have made my annunciators with white acrylic too, because I don't think it's bad when they are readable even when they are off. There is a difference when they are illuminated, but the rest here is, again, really good and clean engraving. Again, gauge here. Oh, maybe this is working too. And whoa, what an MCP. What has he written about this here? The MCP is also made by himself. It is divided into two pieces because his CNC isn't big enough. Yeah, you can see it here. There it is divided into two parts. And this is something I would recommend to every one of you too. Don't let the size of your tools limit yourself. Like here, when it is possible to split the panel into logical parts, then do it and screw them together. Who cares if there are two additional screws which are not there on the original panel? When I have built my CNC, I thought that this here would be the longest panel I would have to make, and so I have made the length of my CNC to my needs. Now I have seen that the light panel is even longer. Okay, it is so. But this solution is something I would have done too. For all of you who have these cheaper 3018 or 3080, I think it's called, Chinese CNC routers, this could be a solution how you still would be able to produce a complete MCP. So, but now to the engraving. This is really, really clear and great. Absolutely fantastic. And I love the Colin MCP. Yes, I love them more because of the green color here. I hope you have made it green. Yeah. These are lines here. I think I have also seen a checker pattern down here. Maybe there are different versions out there on the market. Here, yeah, you can see it lighted up. Some 3D printed knobs here, and you're ready to go. Yeah, here we have a view inside this MCP, and you can see the different layers. But I'm really wondering how you have done this with only 2 layers here. I need 3 layers for every panel because the switch or the LED has to, I think the switch here. The switch has to be mounted on a panel, on a plate, and then the nut is so big that it has to be covered, surrounded by another panel, and then another panel comes on top here. But you have made it with only 2 layers. Oh, and then there are the following layers here, you can see one layer holding the backlighting and a bottom layer here. Yeah, you can see here with this nuts where the screws here, in this case the rotary encoders and some of the tactile switches here are mounted. And there you have an additional layer here. What is this layer for? Is it for holding these gears here? I don't know. But enough room here, very much room here, behind there for holding all the parts. And here you can see Arne's version of a dual rotary encoder, or this isn't a real dual rotary encoder, it's a rotary and rotary switch combined here. You can see the metal shaft here going down here to, I think, to this gear here, and there must be another shaft which I can't see right now that goes to the rotary encoder here, and this outer shaft here is driving this gear, which will transfer the rotation to this gear again, which drives then this rotary switch. Yep, if you have the space, then do it like this version, so you don't need any fancy 3D printed combined knob or something like this. Yep, a good and clear solution here. And he is using these pre-made 7-segment drivers, just unmounted the 7-segment displays. I think they will or are already mounted behind these glasses here, and then you can route the wires back here to the pins. It hasn't worked out for me, but I think it's only because my PCB, which holds the 7-segment displays, isn't working correct. Yep, but this can be a very cheap solution for receiving these chips and a pre-made PCB. And there the MCP is running. Some of the knobs are still missing, but I think when I'm looking to your other parts, these will look great too. You, very good mate. You can be proud of yourself. And what has he written here? The monitors are running already. Everything is illuminated. A milestone. All panels are backlighted. Yeah, we can see this. Let's get a little bit closer here. I wish I would be at this point where I have monitors running in the cockpit. This would be cool. And there it is, the self-made FMC here. I think you can't call it FMC, it's a CDU, no? This part here, the FMC, is a computer underneath. Yeah, cool. I wish we had a sharper image of this CDU here, but when this everything is made by yourself, then you can definitely be proud of you. These things also backlighted. They are looking bright. That would be amazing. Yeah, Arne, what can I say? Keep on this work, and we will see a really cool cockpit in the future, and you will have much fun flying this thing here when you have already monitors running for the co-pilot, I think. So have much fun with your cockpit, and we go on to the next cockpit of Hans. Hans has also written a lot about his photos to me, so I can better comment on what we are seeing here. First of all, compliments to you. Your craftsman skills and presentations via YouTube are outstanding. I don't miss any of your videos, and your tool park is fascinating. I would like to have just a part of this. Hans, I can say tools are not all, and especially with your skills I'm presenting here, believe me, you don't need big tools to make big parts here. And to all of you there, you will see this. He has some really outstanding techniques I have never seen before. So first of all, about Hans. I'm Hans from Vienna, 55 years young, and I'm building a 747-400 cockpit from real parts. The MIP is from Flightdeck Solutions. Yokes are from a 737 relacquered by myself. The pedestal and the overhead with the panels are from different 747-400s. And as a connection solution to the PC, he is using a SimStack from Simulator Solutions, an Arduino-based solution. And to use this, he had to rework some of the panels. I will link his website down in the description of the video, so you can watch more pictures of his work if you're interested. First of all, what we have here is the oxygen mask, better saying a dummy of the oxygen mask here. Yeah. Absolutely clean looking. There are also some files out there for 3D printing these things here, or most of the parts of it, and maybe here this flexible tube here you have to get from a hardware store somewhere. But many of these parts here can be printed, but believe me, this isn't 3D printed. We will come to this later here. Oh, and there we have the sidewalls, the yoke we can see here. This must be really difficult to make here. The lettering on this. He has repainted this yoke. I think to paint these, I think it's engraved letters here, white, isn't too easy. Maybe filled with some wax where you can wipe over, and then the filled engraving is left over, maybe. Yeah, there the oxygen mask is built in, and look at all these surfaces here. This I haven't seen before in a home cockpit. It's looking like metal, and you can see here the Deezers fasteners, or the hose for the Deezers fasteners for the original panels, and the pedals are there. What is he writing about this here? The complete covering of the rudders as well as the sidewalls are handmade. MDF, balsa wood, and 1mm plastic board are the most important materials. So plastic, wow. It's absolutely looking like metal. Cool. Yeah, and 1mm plastic. Yeah, this can work. You don't need big or special tools. Maybe you can cut this with a knife. Yeah, and then this can be easy to cover a sidewall, or here these constructions. It's really good looking. I have never seen this before. Cool. Wow. Look at this sidewall, how clean it is. Cool. Absolutely amazing. Oh, I like it. I want to throw away my sidewall and build it again from plastic. This is cool. And I think this makes the sidewall light weighted too. when I think of my sidewall, this is really heavy, a big wooden structure behind this, and with plastic, you can save a lot of weight. Wow! And look at this throttle quadrant. I mean, is this an original part too? I think most of these parts here are from a real Boeing 747. There you have more power in your hands. 4 engines, yeah, and 4 thrust levers. Here. I'm not very familiar with the Boeing 747. It's a Boeing. That is the only thing we have in common here. But as a Boeing pilot, I think you can be familiar with this cockpit, especially here when it comes to the MCP and the EFIS panel. I still love this sidewall. This is so clean. I have finished the window and overhead covering last summer. They are made from MDF and wooden bars. There you can see the wooden structure here. And yeah, there you can see something I have done too many times in my cockpit, making templates from cardboard as a template for cutting out things here, like he has done. I think he has done it, cutting out this upper part here. Yeah, and there you can already see the first original panel built in. This is a lot of work. There is this overhead, and this clean covering keeps on going here in the ceiling, this plastic method. This can be a really good alternative to a wooden covering in your cockpit. And also these handles. I have searched for these handles you can move out of the way. I have found some, but I didn't want to spend so much money for them. Oh, cool. There they can be moved out of your view field, and my are solid and sticking into the view field. Not much, but it's cool to have this feature here in the cockpit. Self-made illumination here. Ooh, and there they are, the first original panels here. I can't imagine what this must be the value here behind this. Even these switches here, when you buy these separately, must be very expensive. So you're very lucky to get your hands on an original panel, and they are looking good. I think many of these original panels, they come in a state, dirty and really used. I think you have refurbished them. Yeah, absolutely clean looking. Everything is there. The lettering not damaged. Oh, and the panel work goes on. And now we are looking more up here in the ceiling, and it's going on. The clean covering, really good. And how huge this is. You're building another room here. Okay, the lights here are in there, and yeah, here all these circuit breakers built in. Yeah, I really like this. And when you have the rest of the panels installed, then you have really an outstanding cockpit here. Oh, what have you built here? Another cabinet in there? I think there is a monitor. Maybe this will be an instructor station here. Cool. Nice pictures, Hans. Very good and solid work. Absolutely outstanding. I like this. And now we're coming here to some additional pictures from Hans, which are showing some steps to the finished product here. And here you can see the back of the sidewalls. He has made a wooden construction from very thin wooden stripes, which are then covered. And this is amazing. I think you have to imagine how all these stripes must run here in the cockpit, and then glue them together. Yeah, and just as I said before, you come out with a good light-weighted sidewall. You have to look then, I think later when there are coming the windows, the window frames on top, that you can't give any weight here on this construction. So you have to find another way to bring the weight on here. There they are, the frames, I think you can call this. And then here you see the steps. The frame is covered with thin wood, maybe a little bit of filler and sanding, and then the plastic on top. Here you can, I think here we can see this there, the filler and sanding work. And then when you have painted over, you come out with a clean and smooth surface. So this is cool. This is a technique I haven't seen anywhere else until now. So for all of you, maybe you have a new idea for building your sidewalls. And now to the last thing from Hans, I want to show what has fascinated me, the oxygen mask, or the dummy of the oxygen mask. I have said before, there are files out there for 3D printing these, coming out really good when you know how to print these, of course. But Hans has made this thing by hand. So he has started with a drawing here and made a template out of it, and now he is cutting this from thin material, I think foam or plastic. Maybe this is a thin plastic what he is using. 3mm acrylic material, and he's making different layers, I think, here of this acrylic material on top of each other, and building these molds where the oxygen mask is lying in. Filling this with some, I think, construction glue is this, or something like this. Yeah, more construction glue and sanding. And sanding, what I said. So, and here you come out with a clean and solid mold. And this is so amazing. Here you can see these parts, and he is making these from tooth sticks, which he has cut to halves and then glued on top of these pieces. This is how they come out, and you paint over. Really amazing. Oh, and also here these angles, plastic angles from, I think, 1mm plastic to build these Diesas fastener dummies, and you come out with a clean oxygen mask here. What is this? I think the back side maybe of the mask. Here the holder, so that you can build in later, and the back side doesn't matter, you don't see it. It only is important that you come out with a clear front side. There we are, this thing painted, and there are these two sticks painted. This is so amazing. Yeah, and the final result. So no 3D printing at all, just handwork. And maybe this shows you don't need a big tool park to make your simulator hardware. Sometimes it's just time and handwork, and you're coming out with such a great result when you just take your time and be patient and keep on your work. And this is already the end of this episode of the Cockpit Show. We have seen two really great cockpit projects which will bring very much fun to their builders. And if you have built something cockpit related too at home, it doesn't need to be a Boeing, a full cockpit. It can also be a part if you have made a cool looking yoke or a throttle quadrant. Then just send an email to me, cockpitshow@Mikey's Flightdeck, send the pictures and a little bit of text about you and your project, and maybe you can be part of the upcoming Cockpit Show. So thanks for tuning in, and I hope we'll see us again on the next episode of the Cockpit Show.